So in the early 1990s, two of the biggest stars in the WWF were Diesel and Razor Ramon. And what was sort of the trend back then was any big star in the WWF, the WCW would just pay more for and steal. They did it with Macho Man Randy Savage, they did it with Lex Luger, they did it with Hulk Hogan. WCW would just outbid because they had deeper pockets and they would steal all the best talent. So Razor Ramon and Diesel, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, ended up jumping ship to the WCW. But rather than just take the L and move on, the WWF tried something interesting. They tried to just replace them. In hindsight, really bad idea. At the time, I could understand the concept of them simply portraying characters and it didn't matter who portrayed the character, sort of like a James Bond type of deal. Scott Hall was Razor Ramon, but if he leaves, someone else could be Razor Ramon, in theory. It didn't work, but in theory it makes sense. They jump ship, they end up starting the NWO, they're a big deal over there. What does the WWF do? They introduce these two new guys that are basically, it's the President's Choice brand Razor Ramon and the value menu Diesel. It's like when Fresh Prince replaced Aunt Viv and they just expected us to not notice. Like, she's 12 shades lighter, what do you mean? It's a different woman. So here's how it happens. Jim Ross comes to the ring and he cuts a promo about how many times he's been fired by the WWF and the WWF has screwed him over countless times. He's introducing someone new. It's Razor Ramon. Kind of. It's like a guy in a good Razor Ramon Halloween costume. And then they introduce new Diesel, who also doesn't really look like Kevin Nash, but he's wearing his outfit, so it's gotta be him. Wrestling fans are smart, for the most part. And I say that with a grain of salt, because we do all love fake fighting and believing it. But I digress. Wrestling fans are smart and they don't like being treated like idiots. So when they just tried to pull a fast one on us by replacing two of their stars with two mediocre non-stars wearing the same outfits, it didn't go over well. It didn't last very long. Fake Razor Ramon didn't have much of a wrestling career. Lucky for fake Diesel, they kind of gave him a makeover and he became Kane, who's like a Hall of Famer. It's like, imagine Kobe Bryant retires and leaves the Lakers, and the Lakers just hire a Kobe Bryant lookalike to wear his jersey and start at shooting guard. It's not gonna go well. Like, I know imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, but not like this. The sequel's rarely as good as the original. Like, these guys were the Zoolander 2. If you're gonna do a sequel, it's gotta be better. It's gotta be original and different. It can't just be a worse version of the original thing. I wish more Hollywood studios would watch The High Risk Maneuver, because that's a valuable lesson. I wish more people in general would watch The High Risk Maneuver.